In today's lesson, toda evaporation, we want to particularly look at the advantages and disadvantages of evaporation as a separation technique. So remember kuti tichiri kuita separation, and everything we are doing so far in chemistry combined science has something to do with separation techniques. So we might start with a brief revision of evaporation as a separation technique. Kuti takati chi? Takati evaporation inoshanda kuseparata a liquid and soluble solid. And so actually it's used to separate components of a solution, because we know kuti a solution has to be made up of two components. It's made up of the solvent, which is the liquid, and the agent of dissolution, kana kuti the agent in which the soluble solid dissolves. So it's made up of a solvent, the liquid, plus what? The soluble solid, which is the solid which dissolves, or the solid which makes a solution with a solvent. So evaporation works for solutions. A solution is made up of two things: a liquid, which is also technically called a solvent, and a soluble solid. That's important. Saka when we undertake evaporation as a separation technique, we are going to use what is called an evaporation dish, and which of course should be on a stand, and then we use a Bunsen burner in the laboratory. It's something like this. Saka, when this solution is heated, and water molecules gain kinetic energy, because when heat is introduced, according to the law of the conservation of energy, this principle states that energy is neither created nor destroyed, but it is converted from one form to another. Ndiri kuzvitaura preemptively, ndiri kuzvitaura in passing, because it's going to make part of physics. Saka the law of the conservation of energy inotiudza kuti heat energy inenge yaintroduced into the solution ichakonzeresa ma water particles or ma solvent liquid particles kuti again kinetic energy, then achaigaina to the extent of being able to escape. And they do escape as what? As steam. Then manje, but ma particles ayaya amboita broken down akadissolve into the liquid, achavatanga kucrystallize, and ma crystals acho ndo anozocollectwa. Tinoma collector is that we wanted to separate from the solvent or liquid. So this is briefly a revision of evaporation as a separation technique. Kuti tinoregera mvura ichita escape as a steam, then posara that soluble solid ichicrystallize, because even though yanga ichigaina kinetic energy, haigaini kinetic energy to the extent of escape, because of the chemical structure of the particles of that soluble solid. Now tavane a brief understanding of what this is, we can now look at the advantages and disadvantages of the process. Saka, we are going to start with advantages. And for our advantages, our first advantage is this is a simple and easy technique to carry out. So you can actually use solar energy. Kungotora mvura yenyu yakazanganiswa ne, let us say, salt or sugar, moisa panze kuine zuva, of course nezuva zvichatora a very long time, because kuita nebunsen burner in the laboratory quickens, it makes the process quicker. But kuri kuti mango zvisa panze, you can wait the whole day, muchazongoona macrystals salt kana kuti sugar ndo asara, iyo mvura yacho evaporate away. So it's simple and easy to carry out. Note yatichawedzera panapa ndeyekuti the reason why it is simple is it requires simple apparatus. And what are the apparatus taura nezvawo just recently? It needs an evaporation dish, kana kuti evaporating dish. It needs a heat source. Ndo my main apparatus anodikwa for this particular separation technique. Evaporation dish, mamchaisa the solution. A heat source, be it a Bunsen burner under laboratory conditions, be it solar energy under the open sun. Whatever you take, it will work. Our second advantage, it's cost effective. Saka advantages aya kuri kuti muri kumanyora manotes, mukada kumacompare across all the separation techniques, they are more or less the same. And saka kuti cost effective, tinogona kunyora chiti inexpensive, kana kuti tinogona kunyora tichiti low cost. So it's a low cost. Azvidhure kungotora, because evaporating dish kungotora dish remumba womotoisa solution mongoisa panze zvatopera. Saka it's cost effective, it's inexpensive, it is a low cost. The reason is no expensive equipment is needed. No expensive equipment is needed. That is going to be our second advantage. Advantage number 3, ndeyekuti it is effective for soluble solids. Effective for soluble solids. Why is it effective for soluble solids? So it works well for separating solids like salt, sugar, or a copper 2 sulfate from water. Saka if we have a solution but we want to collect the soluble solid, the most effective separation technique we can use is this one, evaporation. Saka it works well for separating solids like salt, sugar, and we can also talk about copper 2 sulfate from water, like this. That's how effective it is. Our advantage number 4, it's a quick process. And why is it a quick process? Heating with the Bunsen burner. What does heating does? Speeds up the process of evaporation, speeds up the removal of the solvent. Saka remember kuti solvent define as an agent of dissolution, agent of dissolving. Ndimo muno dissolvira the soluble solid. That's what a solvent is. And remember, the solution is made up of a solvent and soluble solid. Alright. It can also be made up of 2 mixable liquids. You should know that. Saka, a solution can be made up of a solvent and a soluble solid. Kana kuti it can be made up of 2 mixable liquids. But panapa manji, hatisi kutaura about mixable liquids kana tichidiscuss evaporation as a separation technique, nekuti we don't use evaporation to separate two mixable liquids. Teta kutotsvaga amwe ma-separation techniques. Saka specific to this lesson, our solution is made up of a solvent, which is a liquid, usually water, and a soluble solid, typically salt and sugar or copper 2 sulfate, for example. But you should know that a solution can actually be made of two mixable liquids. An example would be drink ramnomwa. Take Masoe orange crush and water, mix them, they are mixable, momwa drink. It's a solution. Saka, please don't be confused on that part. Then now, for our number 5, it's widely used in industry. That's an advantage. Saka, an example panapa, it would be production of salt from saline water, and an example of saline water is seawater. Saka, I'm sure titese tinoziva kuti seawater is very saline. Kana chiti saline tokureva kuti it's very salty, haimwike mvura yemuocean, mvura yemusea. Kana tichitoda mvura, kutora mvura from that saline water, tinoshandisa a process of evaporation, but inge yava a little bit modified to be called distillation. That is what we are going to learn in the next few lessons to come. Iko zvinezvi, kana kuri kuti tiri kuda salt from saline seawater, then evaporation inongosiya salt iri crystallized, then we can collect it. Saka, these are the 5 advantages, but remember, they are not exhaustive. You can do your own further reading. When it comes to disadvantages now, our first disadvantage is chekutanga, the solvent is lost. It's evaporated away. We don't collect it. Saka mvura kana kuti any liquid yanga ichita save the as a solvent without the agent of dissolving, it's lost. As steam, as water vapor, gone forever. Saka, the liquid, and it's usually water, evaporates away. It evaporates and is not collected. You see, it evaporates and it's not collected. That's a disadvantage. Number 2, our disadvantage number 2, I think the disadvantage number 1, we discussed it at length. Patakati compare evaporation ne like filtration. By filtration, we are going to collect both the filtrate and the residue. Teacher collector both the insoluble solid and the not solvent and the water or the liquid. But here we don't collect the liquid, so it serves as a disadvantage. We have to modify the process into distillation kana takuda kucollecta the liquid. Number 2, it's not suitable for heat sensitive substances. And I'm going to explain what this actually means. Not suitable for heat sensitive substances. Saka trikuti, some solids decompose when heated. And ekuita decompose, you can replace this word with breakdown. So if we have a heat sensitive substance, yekuti patinoihita inotoita further breakdown. Zvoreva kuti panenge paine possibility yekuti when water escapes as steam, that solid is also going to escape. Saka we won't be able to collect it. kana kuti it won't crystallize properly. Saka it's not suitable for heat sensitive substances. Ndakuzvisira kwamuri kuti muite research panapa kuti ndeapi maexamples ema-heat sensitive substances atisingakwanise kushandisa evaporation on. I'm going to ask this in your test. Saka, please do this research. If I say do some research, I want to challenge you to engage with your learning and to take responsibility of your learning. So when I say do some research, please be sure to do so. Saka, this is it. Number 3, it's not suitable for separating mixtures of liquids. Sezvanambotaura kuti a solution can be made up of 2 mixable liquids. So mixtures of liquids hatikwanise kuishandisa in that case. Pakanzi mixtures panapa, you can simply say solutions of, then panapa mema kutichi mixable. So it's mixable liquids, like that. Not immixable, but mixable. Remember that immixable liquids tinogona kumaseparator tichishandisa decanting, but mixable liquids we can't. Saka be technical with your learning. Mixable ma liquids anokwanisa kumixika orange crush nemvura, and that's mixable. Immixable liquids, mvura nemafuta, you can't mix them. Chiro kazvisheka say they won't mix. Ende kumixa kwezvinhu izvi hama dzangu, tongoti ndo mawater molecules aya. Kana chiti zvamixa ma orange crush molecules anenge akadai so achiuya chinogara panapa achipinda pakati apa seizvi, handiti iyi ndo inenge iri solution yacho. But if they are immixable like water and oil, water inenge yakadai so water molecules, then oil haikwanisi kuya pakati pema water molecules, inofoma ukaleya kayo panapa. Saka iyi ndo inenge iri immixable liquids. Saka musakonfuswa nezvinhu izvi. Please try to understand kuti zvinomborevei. So the note we are going to add for our third disadvantage, tiri kuti only works when a solid is dissolved in a liquid. Saka it only works for a soluble solid and liquid. Does not work for mixable liquids. Cannot a solution of liquids. You can just say a solution of liquids. Let us go to our number 4. Saka for number 4, the disadvantage is the solid obtained may not be pure. So solid obtained may not be pure. Tinogona kuita rephrase tichiti chemical alteration of solid. And what do we mean by this? Impurities may remain with the solid. That's what we mean. Saka panogona kuitika a chemical change of the solid, and a chemical alteration of the solid. Chekutanga, there is actually a change in structure of the solid as a solid, because tinenge taisa tuma grains to a sugar and tinenge turi round, but after evaporation ticha collecta kashit kema kana kuti zvimashit zvema crystallized sugar. Saka the solid structure of the sugar particles anenge atochinja. Saka tisi kureva izvozvo, tiri kureva a chemical alteration of the solid, kuti solid yedu inoramba ine ma impurities, kana kuti kutoreacta kwayaita nemvura kunogona kutokonzeresa ma impurities. because mvura yedu in most cases it's not pure dihydrogen oxide. Mvura chaiyo inenge ine ma-impurities, ma-ions, machi. Saka pangona kuitika chinhu chiri mumvura chinoreacta that solid, choisa ma-impurities pasolid. So that's a chemical alteration of the solid. Chemical structure is it's either presented as an advantage or disadvantage dependent on the separation technique at question. Number 5, there is a risk of spitting or loss of solid. Loss of solid. What do we mean? Rapid heating. Andika saka taimboti gentle heating patakatsanangura. Rapid heating can cause loss of solid sample. Saka tinogona to lose a solid yacho because of rapid heating. So this disadvantage inoita work hand in glove neiya yanga ichitaura about heat sensitive substances, because if they break down themselves tinenge tinogona kutoluza some solid. Saka iri kutaura about the risk of spitting or loss of solid. Rapid heating can cause loss of solid sample. So this is what we have. Again, not exhaustive. You can do your own research. How do you research? Textbooks, the internet, artificial intelligence. Use everything at your disposal which can help you to help you. You can research by asking your peers. You can research by conducting these simple experiments on your own to discover advantages and disadvantages, advantages and limitations. So this is what we wanted to learn today. Be it that you want extra lessons from us and tutoring, WhatsApp us on the following number, coded +263 because the number is from Zimbabwe. If you are in Zimbabwe, tibate pa WhatsApp pa 071 523310. Maita basa, mwaniswara kanaka.